Some of the greatest mysteries in history are still hidden in the shadows. Lost treasures, vanished cities, and artifacts that left behind unanswered questions. Yet among them, there is one masterpiece that has fascinated people for centuries because of both its beauty and its mysterious disappearance. This masterpiece is known as the Amber Room. Once described as the eighth wonder of the world, this room was far more than just a piece of art. It was a symbol of extraordinary luxury, decorated with gold, precious stones, mirrors, and tons of amber. Under candlelight, its glowing walls created a breathtaking atmosphere, as if anyone who entered had stepped into another world. But the reason we still talk about the Amber Room today is not only its beauty, it is also the fact that it vanished without a trace. The story begins in the early 18th century in Prussia. In 1701, in Berlin, the capital of the Kingdom of Prussia, one of the most ambitious artistic projects of the era began. The goal was to create a unique chamber inside the royal palace. Instead of marble or stone, the walls of this room would be made entirely of amber. The design of the project was created by the famous Baroque sculptor Andreas Schluter, while the amber craftsmanship was led by the Danish master Gottfried Wolfram. Later, amber artisans Ernst Schacht and Gottfried Thurau from Danzig joined the project. After years of meticulous work, the result was extraordinary. The walls were covered with amber panels, decorated with gold leaf, intricate carvings, precious stones, and mirrors. When candles were lit, the entire room shimmered with a golden glow. Soon, people began calling it something remarkable, the eighth wonder of the world. However, the fate of the Amber Room would soon take an unexpected turn. In 1716, the King of Prussia, Frederick William I, decided to present an extraordinary gift to his ally, the Russian Tsar Peter the Great. This gift was no ordinary object. It was the entire Amber Room. The room was carefully dismantled and transported to Russia. There, it found a new home in the Catherine Palace. In Russia, the room was expanded and redesigned. In its final form, it covered more than 55 square meters and contained over 6 tons of amber. For years, it remained one of the most valuable treasures of the Russian Empire. Visitors from across Europe traveled to see the magnificent chamber. But in the 20th century, the world was drawn into a devastating conflict: World War II. In 1941, when Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union, museum curators rushed to save priceless artworks. They attempted to dismantle and move the Amber Room to a safer location, but time had taken its toll. The amber panels had become dry and fragile. Attempting to remove them risked destroying them. So the curators made a desperate decision. They covered the entire room with ordinary wallpaper in hopes of hiding it. But the plan failed. German troops soon reached the palace and discovered the room. Under the supervision of experts, the Amber Room was dismantled by German soldiers in just 36 hours. The priceless panels were packed into crates and transported to Königsberg Castle in East Prussia. In November 1941, a local newspaper proudly announced that the Amber Room would be displayed at the castle. But the exhibition would not last long. By 1944, the tide of the war had begun to turn. Allied forces were advancing toward Germany. Cities were being bombed and front lines were collapsing. During this chaos, the Amber Room was dismantled once again and packed into crates, which were stored in the castle's basement. And then, the trail suddenly disappeared. In August 1944, the Royal Air Force heavily bombed Königsberg, destroying much of the city. Soon after, the Soviet army entered the city. During the intense fighting, the castle suffered severe damage and large fires broke out. When the war ended, the Amber Room was simply gone. No crates were found, no panels, no amber fragments. One of the most valuable works of art in the world had seemingly vanished into thin air. What followed was perhaps one of the greatest treasure hunts in history. Some witnesses claimed that the room's pieces had been loaded onto a German ship called Wilhelm Gustloff in 1945. If that were true, the Amber Room might still lie somewhere at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. Because that ship was soon torpedoed and sunk by a Soviet submarine. Other researchers believed the room had been hidden in a silver mine. Some believed the treasure had been buried beneath a lagoon. Over the years, countless excavations were carried out. Mines were explored, caves were searched, and tunnels were investigated. But the Amber Room was never found. In 1997, however, a surprising discovery was made. In Germany, a family was found to possess a stone mosaic that once decorated the Amber Room. It was later revealed that the family belonged to a soldier who had helped dismantle the room during the war. The piece was later returned to Russia and used in the reconstruction work. Because by that time, Russia had already made an important decision. The lost Amber Room would be rebuilt. The restoration project, which began in 1979, lasted for decades. Russian craftsmen studied old photographs, documents, and surviving fragments to recreate the room. With the help of donations from Germany, the work was finally completed. And in 2003, the new Amber Room was officially opened at the Catherine Palace. Today, visitors can see the room. But what they're looking at is actually a reconstruction. The original room is still missing. So what really happened? Some researchers believe the Amber Room was completely destroyed in a fire at Königsberg Castle in 1945. But not everyone agrees. Some still believe the room is hidden in a secret tunnel, a bunker, or an underground storage site. Perhaps one day it will reappear in an unexpected place, and perhaps history books will have to be rewritten. But until that day comes, the Amber Room remains one of the most fascinating mysteries in history. A masterpiece that was once one of the most magnificent rooms in the world. Yet today, it is still missing. And perhaps, somewhere in the darkness, it is still waiting to be discovered.